are live. Welcome to the All Leads Suck podcast. We have Bryce and Brylen from Anabasis Capital today. Thank you for coming in, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it as well. So we were just shooting the shit. I don't think there's going to be any theme or topic.
Okay.
For today, let's just pick apart your business model.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
Pick it apart.
And basically just talk about the stuff that nobody talks about,
The stuff
which is running the business and the numbers,
Yeah.
and the stuff that they don't want to reveal to you.
For sure. I think something that people don't really understand until they get into it is that not only a deal, but also a business is like a river, and you never know where it's going to flow. You kind of just see opportunities as they arise and capitalize on them, and kind of take that path as you see something that's working. You know, I obviously don't think, like we were talking about before, whenever you guys first started this podcast, you probably weren't thinking, oh, I'm gonna start doing live close trainings and picking up leads from partnership and other investors and things like that. You probably didn't think where that was going to go, but I think that was the same thing for us. I remember whenever we first started, and we were in our first office, and it was really small. It was like a little cubicle, and that first couple weeks just opening, you kind of don't really have a game plan. You're just like, all right, this is what we're doing. I'm risking it all, and you're like, okay, what's the next step? Because obviously you have your pipeline that you had worked on whenever you were working at other companies or working in other business facets. You're like, oh, I've got my own base that I've been working on. I've got my deals that I've been working on. But after a while, that slows down and that dies out as that pipeline kind of dies, and you've got to rebuild your pipeline. So you're like, okay, where are my leads going to come from? And you start working on different marketing tactics, different lead generation streams, and different systems and processes to capitalize on those lead generation streams, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, the shit that doesn't work and you don't see a return on, cancel that. The stuff that does work, you implement it and try and scale it. So I think that it really is a lot of trial and error, and there really is not one correct answer. Right. And it's not one size fits all. And I also think that there are things that I probably have tried that didn't work for me that work for other people. And there are probably things that they've tried that they weren't successful at that worked for me. So it really is just kind of implementing systems and lead generation tactics and figuring out what works for you and running with it and scaling with it and following the river.
So I know that right now, I think the company that you run, you guys are doing multiple things, all under one roof, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to outline what are those things that you guys are focusing on, and what's the percentages of those businesses. So like 50% of my time goes to this business, 20% to this, and 20% to this, and 10% to this, or however the splits go.
Well, what does Anabasis Realty do, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Anabasis Realty really is a real estate solutions company. That's the best way that I can describe it. I want to be able to service any lead that comes into the door. That was my philosophy whenever we first started it, because whenever I started out in wholesaling, I realized that there were a ton of leads that would come through the door and may not make sense for that box, right? You would get a lead that would come in and it's already on market. Oh, okay, whatever. Or they want 1.1 million, and you look up the property and you're like, yeah, it's probably worth about 1.1 million. And you sit there and you try and find a creative, assumable strategy or some other strategy to try and process it. And you're like, yeah, this is a nice house. This probably it isn't going to make sense for a wholesale either way.
Yeah.
Or I had, on the opposite side of the spectrum, I had some crazy deals that came across my desk that were like, man, I feel like we'd be foolish not to just close on this ourselves.
Yeah.
A 50 grand assignment fee, a 75 grand, 100 grand assignment fee is pretty nice, but I'd rather see a potential
return.
250 grand return. So that was really why I set everything up the way I did. Anabasis Realty has Anabasis Real Estate Investment Trust, side by side company and partner. That is the investment side of the business. That's the entity that's closing on properties. That's the entity that has large lines of credit as well as equity and capital partners that can fund and close on deals and run those investments. Then on the other side of it, we have our wholesaling arm. So I've kind of split the brokerage into two teams.
Okay.
I have my Zillow team, and then I have my acquisitions team. So the Zillow team is focusing on Zillow leads, and then they're also focusing on whether it's cold calling, FSBOs, expireds, whatever side of the traditional side of that real estate model.
They only do retail transactions?
Right.
They're focusing on retail transactions for lead generation,
Okay.
right? The acquisitions team is focusing on the lead generation that has to do with wholesaling and cash offers, things of that nature. So
Okay.
we've got two different lead generation streams.
So if a lead comes in on Zillow that's
Mhm.
not a fit for listing, do they send it over to the other team?
So
Or do they handle
what I allow is I allow them to change their hats,
Okay.
right? So I train the entire team on both sides of the business,
Right.
and everybody, whether they're on the Zillow team or they're on the acquisitions team, is building their investor base.
Right.
So whenever a deal comes onto the board from the acquisitions team, the entire company has the capability to sell the contract.
Okay.
Everybody's working it.
So when somebody does acquire property, somebody else can dispo that. There's no
Yes.
favorite. There's not
Right.
like that's their lead or their close. Okay.
So there's two sides to every contract.
Right.
On commission. There's the acquisition side and the disposition side.
Right.
I don't have one person that just sits there and works on disposition all day.
Right.
The entire company
Works
is
on it.
working on
Right.
disposition, and it's first come, first serve. First person to bring me a wire and a contract.
So what do
it's
you
competitive.
Yeah.
what do you spend your day-to-day on training the team?
Yeah, so I do 4 team meetings a week. I do the overall company team meeting on Tuesday that Brylen and I run together, and then on Wednesday I do a contract and role play training in the morning.
Right.
So, for example, whenever the NAR stuff started happening,
Yep.
we were really focusing heavy on those contract trainings on Wednesday, really making sure that the entire company knows from a buyer lead and seller traditional side perspective what new contracts that they need to be using, what new processes that they need to be using on the traditional side of the business. And then we'll do role playing. So I'll Brylen will partner with either Garrison or Megan because he has a few junior associates under him that he is the senior team lead and in charge of. So I'll have them partner up and role play and work on either their Zillow lead calls or their seller lead calls or different situations and scenarios of, hey, this is what type of role play that we need to be going through to overcome different types of objections.
Okay.
Thursday is the different team meetings. So we have our Zillow team meeting at 9:30 and then our acquisitions team meeting at 10:30. So those teams are getting together every Thursday, and then those team meetings are obviously focused specifically on those lead generation streams, monitoring them. Hey, what's going on with this lead? What's going on with this lead? How can we save this deal? What are our KPIs and what do our actual rates and things look like? So we're monitoring those metrics every week in our team sessions on both sides of those.
Got it. So you mentioned the word team a few times or more
Yeah.
than a few times, and then you mentioned that he's like a senior acquisition manager, I
Yes,
guess,
correct.
and there are people that are underneath him.
100%.
How is that structure set up?
Brown.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, structure as in what do we do?
So
as
what
far
are
as-
what are your responsibilities and what do you provide to people that are underneath you?
Mhm.
And how much money do you take from them?
Jesus.
So I guess really like I kind of meet people wherever they need to be met. So for instance, we have a guy on the team that was newly licensed, but he wanted to get straight into wholesale. So again, learning from Bryce, whenever we started this, I kind of already had my knowledge of it. And so he already kind of had a baseline knowledge of it, but it's, really hands-on. So it's a lot of one-on-one because it's not like I have a whole class with people. It's either one or two people that, I'm just speaking with. And it's just, identifying what properties can be wholesaled. If this lead comes in, is there, enough meat on the bone for us to assign it out? What does the rehab look like? How to properly walk through a house and be like, okay, I know this needs to be fixed. And what, the current material costs too, and make sure that that aligns with um, a general contractor's work. Also, identifying comps as far as once the rehab is complete, what do we think we can sell it for? Crunching those numbers in a spreadsheet together to show them that like, hey, this is a good deal. This is stuff you should be looking for, and just to continue to hammer that into them so that way I don't have to be hands-on with them. I can, eventually get them up to par, bring on more people. And if they, then like what Bryce said too, it's like we have these trainings, so we kind of pitch it to them like, hey, I understand that you want to do real estate and sell houses, but what if you could do that and then also learn wholesaling, or also learn, not even like for the company, but for yourself? What if you are selling property, making commission, but you want to flip a property yourself? Well, hey,
Right.
we can show you how to do it because we've
Mhm.
done it and we're going to continue to do it.
So you and I both, well, I don't think you actually started we started at the same brokerage. I think you had
Mhm.
started before that, right?
Yeah, I had gotten into real estate. I was into real estate like a year before me and you started working together, but
Right.
I was just I had my license hung up with my dad. My
Okay.
dad's a broker on Amelia Island,
Okay.
and I did probably like 3 or 4 transactions with his help.
Yeah.
But my dad's like an established dude,
Right.
so
Yeah,
I
he's
wanted
got
to
his thing.
he's got his thing going, so I
Yeah.
wanted to go somewhere where I could have my own leads and process them myself and stuff.
So the brokerage we were at had like crazy training and
Yeah,
crazy lead flow. I
Yeah.
mean, we put a ton of deals under our belts in
yeah.
like a very fast amount of time, but now you're kind of providing that same mentorship to the individuals who you're helping. What do you think is the easier way for them to get started? Do you think it's easier for them to kind of go that traditional route and understand fundamentals of real estate, or kind of go into that off market wholesale world,
Well,
because they are kind of two complete different things, even though they are so similar.
they really are two completely different things, and I think I'll speak for myself on this one. I knew that I needed to be somewhere in my like first 2 years that was very hands-on and had mentorship programs, because the way that I looked at it and what you just mentioned was we were able to put a handful of deals under our belt. The average agent's only doing for what, 5 deals a year maybe. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think my first year there, I did a little more than 20.
Right.
So that to me felt like 3 years of real estate experience.
Right.
So I feel like going somewhere that, has an influx of leads and has mentorship. Um, and even if you have to like sacrifice some of your commission in the beginning, like the knowledge that you're gonna like obtain there is going to set you up for your future. And I would highly recommend going the high lead route in the beginning and just
Right.
getting thrown to the fire. Like, you want
Right.
to get into real estate? Okay, well go do
Yeah.
a real estate brokerage boot camp for a year, and
Yeah.
then you'll learn, and then
Yeah.
you'll
Trial by fire.
yeah.
So they were taking 50% of your commission. How much do you take?
It's case
Dan
by
likes the
case.
good question. The good
It's
questions.
tiered. So he's a senior, and as a senior associate, he can train and have agents under him. But there's two different positions. There's you come in as a junior, and then you can get promoted to associate. Once you're promoted, there's only a few seniors. Seniors are able to take guys under them for the mentorship program. The split is a little bit more for juniors, and then it's a little bit less once you get to associate.
Are you
Um,
uncomfortable sharing this, beliefs? Because it's okay if you are.
the only it would take me a while to explain, just because it's all based on so many different there's so many different exit strategies.
Right.
The comp plan is like a whole table of
It changes for each strategy.
yeah.
Mm.
So we have wholesaling and regular like real estate commissions. Could you give us the numbers on those two?
So like as a junior, if you're freshly licensed and you've never done real estate before and you're just coming in as a junior under Brylen,
A seniors,
your first deal, your first 3 deals are 50-50 no matter what, whether you generated it or
That makes
not,
sense.
because
That's
you
easy.
don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
From there as a junior,
And is that both wholesaling and commission?
that is just on the traditional side.
Just under
Okay.
traditional
That's just
side.
on the traditional
As
side.
a real estate agent.
As a real estate agent.
Makes sense.
And then on the traditional side, once you finish your first 3 deals, you're at 70-30 on your personal stuff, 50-50 on your lead gen. Once you go up to associate, 75-25, 50-50. Once you go up to senior, 80-20, 50-50. So the difference between that is what the senior would earn.
Now, does he get a cut from the person? He gets the difference.
It's the difference
The
between
full
the 80.
50%?
It's the difference between the 80 and the 50.
The 80 and the 50.
Correct.
Got it.
So it gets smaller and smaller as they
progress.
As they progress.
Which is actually a nice way to do it, because you're still helping them and giving them a chance to learn, but as they get better and they need you less.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
so
it's the same
nice,
thing on the acquisition side, right? So for the seniors, for acquisition, they get 22.5. For sale, for dispo, they get 25. But that's a step down for associates and juniors, as it starts at 17.5, goes to 20, and then 22.5 for seniors. And then same on the dispo side, 20, 22.5, 25. And then the difference between that is what the seniors earn on the junior and associate productions under them for managing their deals.
Nice.
I would tell you should be happy to be saying those numbers, because that is a very generous amount for the wholesale industry. I mean, I know that the bar to entry on wholesale is very low, and that people just get in and try and do their deals, but most of the companies are not paying that much.
And you generate the leads for them, right? Or no?
Both, yes and no. So there are some that they're generating themselves on the acquisition side, and then there are some where I do have like cold callers that are running, and we do.
And the leads come into the office.
Yeah. So we have both.
How do you distribute the leads?
The leads are distributed through our CRM system. It's a first to claim based on who's in the office. I tell them, hey, don't claim it unless you're in the office. Yeah. And then when you're in the office, it's first to claim, and then it'll route into your system.
Wow.
Okay.
So how do they claim it? Do they just accept the call, or
it's on our CRM?
It's on your CRM. You get a notification,
and you can click to claim it.
They're not live calls. The Zillows are live call transfers. The seller leads are just here's their name, number, information, best time to contact them, what they want for it, property address.
Boomtown or
I don't use Boomtown. I use Follow Up Boss.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have Follow Up Boss. We built our own CRM. We had Follow Up Boss. We really liked it.
I love Follow Up Boss.
When we went to the AI and all the automations and the voice calling, Follow Up Boss didn't have that ability yet. Yeah. So we built our own, which does like the VA cold calling that we use. And then we use it as live transfer to he and I whenever something's on there.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about this business venture, AI Speakly, because I haven't looked into it a ton. I've seen like a lot of your stuff. I know that you're partnering with Dom.
Yeah.
I know that you have a couple of things going on. What does that partnership and what does that venture look like, and how is it generating not only leads for your business, and what does that volume look like, and how is it going so far from like a metric standpoint? And then also, is that something that you are, I would imagine, also selling those leads and packages to people as well? I assume there's two sides of it: personal lead gen and and the actual software sales.
Yeah,
I'm actually on make off each lead.
Yeah. That's a good one, actually. We could go into that, because we did change some of those things. But so the AI Speakly kind of came about. Sam and I have been together for a couple years now, putting deals together, and our main source of leads was the relationships we had with agents who weren't familiar with how to put deals together. So kind of similar to what Brylen's doing, like mentorship, except for it was more so like just give us the lead, we'll take care of the rest, and you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
You don't have to learn. If you want to learn how to do it, by all means you can, but if not, we'll just take care of everything. So we wanted to find a way to get consistent with our business. Ran into Dom while we were at another office we were working out of. And Dom, as you know, had Cash Geeks, had, 40, 50 cold callers in the Philippines and in South America at one time, sold Cash Geeks, but he was selling leads for people. And they were...
After he sold the business.
Yeah, after he sold the business, he was selling leads, and he was working out of Gary's brokerage, which was where we were working out of. And his whole plan was one realty. Yeah. So his whole plan was to basically give cash offers, and if they weren't going for it, hey, well, I can list it for you.
Yeah.
So kind of almost like what you guys do. But he was trying to give those leads away to the local people in the brokerage and then take his cut, 25% or whatever.
He just had 2 VAs that were working with him after he left Cash Geeks, maybe 4.
Yeah.
And he essentially was just generating the leads, and he was initially going to do it for himself, just so he can basically be a realtor.
Yeah.
But then all the realtors started asking him what he was doing, so he decided to turn that into a business and just give the leads to the realtors and then get paid after they close the deal.
Right.
So that was his initial business model that he started with. And out of 90 realtors that he started giving leads to, nobody closed shit.
We closed...
you gotta be good at what you do.
We closed a couple deals. We did them wholesale. We got one seller finance. We paid him fast, and he was like, oh shit, you guys actually know what you're doing. I'm going to stop giving them to everybody else. You guys can have everything. So we started doing, taking all the leads and running them, and we were like, this is great. We have a consistent lead flow. So then he asked us to get involved in that
He asked
business.
us to become a partner with him and help him run the lead generation. And that's how we started talking about it. And I said, absolutely no.
He said no. I said, dude, it's a consistent lead flow. We can kind of do this together. We'll take some time, to allocate to both. And it'll be okay. He still wasn't for it. I still was trying to figure out how we could do it so that we had consistent
Why
leads.
weren't you so for it in the beginning? What?
Because it's a big
business.
It's a big change of where your time is spent.
Yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
and there's so many things that pop up and come into play, and hiring, firing, training, and quality control, and so much stuff that you don't think about. You're just excited.
Right.
So the thought at the time, we started using a lot of ChatGPT and a lot of AI stuff for what we were doing. And somebody showed me AI voice calls.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. Forget having people in the Philippines who have a hard time speaking English, the phone breaks up or whatever.
Yeah.
Why not just have the robot do it, make the calls, and then we get the calls, and we can just filter out what works and what doesn't. It's going to ask the questions, they answer the questions, they send it to us.
Yeah.
It works.
I actually saw, not to cut you off again, but you've posted a few of them of you talking to, and you're just sitting there listening to them. They're sitting there just kind of teeing it up for you.
Yeah.
We've had people on the phone with these things for 20 plus minutes talking, giving their life story. We've had them on the phone for 10 minutes. Then he'll go to their house, he'll lock up a deal with them and make 50 grand on the transaction. And they did it with a robot.
Yeah.
It's wild that it works.
So I've heard both sides of it. I've heard some people that have done really well with it, like you guys obviously have, and then I've heard some other people that have struggled, obviously, with coding the bot to be able to have the right responses and say the right things.
So it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. The technology is still changing, evolving. It has, even in the first 3 or 4 months when we started,
we initially thought it would take us 2 weeks to basically put everything in place. And it took us 9.5 months. And so we were not doing anything but developing the product for 9.5 months, and we were not wholesaling at all. Just here and there, incoming leads, people that bring us deals, word of mouth. We've stopped doing everything, and we were just working on that because we just saw the potential of what it could accomplish.
So it's interesting, even when we got to that 9-month mark, it ended up changing a couple months later again, just because we found a better engineer for the voice and everything.
Why did it take so long? Was it engineering the voice and the coding?
It's just but when we had first started, there wasn't anybody who had the information available. They didn't know how to use it or how to put it together. There were so many technical pieces, and we kept getting quotes for $250,000, $500,000 to build it. And we're like, that's realistic for us right now. We can't do that, but we know it exists. So the first phase of it for us was running it for people taking their motivated seller list, putting it through the system, having the calls analyzed, and then sending the calls that were leads over to them via email. And at first we started with like $1,000 setup and $2,000 or $3,000 a month, depending on how many leads you were getting a month, which was like anywhere from 60 to 100 leads a month.
We were selling it as like you're hiring a VA.
Right.
So you're gonna pay, a couple grand a month,
Yep.
and that's gonna, be as if you hired 1.5 VAs in the Philippines. That's how many leads it's gonna generate for you.
Yeah.
And then we started sending leads to people over email. And the first couple months when we were sending the leads, and this is what's considered a lead, right? To us, it was anybody who said, yes, I want to sell my house.
Yeah.
So they said, yes, I want to sell my house. Are you sure you want to sell? Yes. So they confirm it twice, and they say, I want to sell it in this amount of time.
Yeah.
If they said those two things, that's a lead. It goes into your system.
Yeah.
And 99% of people complained about those leads.
Yeah, because they probably didn't. You weren't filtering motivation.
Correct.
Essentially.
There was no filters. But to us, we could have filtered motivation, but then you're going to get less leads. Right? Because there's going to be people who are motivated leads who are not going to answer the questions, especially to a robot, and then go into your system.
Yeah.
So to us, the way we would have ran it is we would have just taken all those leads, right? And we wouldn't have filtered, because then you're going to have fallout, and you're going to spend a lot more on lead generation just to get an extra filter, instead of just picking up the phone and calling that person and saying, figuring out why they want to sell or what they want to sell for.
Yeah. So at first it was kind of like, can we just qualify that they would even take a cash offer? And if they would take a cash offer and we have no idea what the motivation is, then that's a lead. And that's kind of where all leads suck came from, because people would be like, hey, this lead sucks. And you're like, the guy literally said he would take cash. He said he would close in 30 days. He said he'd sell this piece of shit. And that's a lead that sucks. And they'd be like, well, I can't get him back on the phone. But he still said all of those things. Continue to call him as many times as you had to.
Yeah,
we go and take a look, and I think the guy texted him once. And it's like, dude, you didn't even call him.
Yeah.
So like, you're complaining about the lead, but like, you could have called 6 times, 3 text messages in 30 minutes? That's what we're used to.
Yeah.
And like, we have the statistics. If you don't reach out in 5 minutes, you're pretty SOL. So
speed to lead is the most important.
Right.
thing.
So that's where we were like, all right, what can we do to change it? How can we make it better? So the thought was, okay, let's give them a system to use. Instead of us just emailing them, let's give them the system to use. So then we gave them the system, and it was kind of like, look.
Meaning we give them the system, they put however many minutes they want to put, that the robot will be calling. We show them where to get the list from, literally like a step-by-step. Here's where you pull your list from. Here's how you make the calls. Here's where you put your minutes, however many minutes you want to put in. And it'll just spit leads right into your system. So that's when we started giving the system.
27 cents a minute prorated, right? So 30-second phone call, 29
What's
cents
the CPL?
So 14 and a half. What was it, like between $60 and $90?
$60 and $90 was the cost to them.
Cost to your clients.
To the clients. The clients would pay on average $60 per lead.
$60 a lead.
Correct.
$60 a lead,
That's with all encompassing. So the system, the pulling the list, paying for skip tracing, running the minutes, everything all together was about $60 a lead.
Okay.
What are your VAs CPL?
It depends. It's kind of a
higher.
No.
Lower.
Technically, it's hard to explain. Basically, I have a guy that has his own cold callers and things set up. I don't pay for it. He does. I have a pay at close percentage with him negotiated in a contract.
Gotcha.
And I just provide the data.
Okay.
And so that's how I run it.
That's not bad.
And I believe a little bit more in building up a data list than trying to always pull new lists and just calling the same people. Because after a while,
it gets stale.
There's only so many properties in Northeast Florida.
Right.
You're going to run out of data eventually.
So what we do is
we are doing it everywhere.
Yeah, we pull the
I don't do.
Yeah, we pull the new lists though, even in Jacksonville. Here's why, and this is based on Dom's experience. Because he's been cold calling for probably 4 years
which
now.
was pulling roughly 250,000 records a month. So
That's insane.
he's got the science figured out for sure.
So essentially, people that you pull lists of, these people are running from foreclosures, they're being
Taxes,
evicted,
divorce.
taxes, back taxes, liens, credit card debt, and they constantly change their phone numbers.
Yeah.
So that's what you basically pull. You just re-skip. You basically have the same data, but you re-skip the data to get the new phone numbers in. Because according to their tests, 38% of people change their phone numbers within a few months of you calling. So that's where it gets
Creditors
stale.
just contacting them and everything. So
Yeah.
So, but basically what happened when we started giving the system away to people, they still kept complaining. And just very few people could close anything. And we were like, dude, these leads really suck, right?
Yeah.
So we just sat down, we had a few meetings about it, and then at the end we were like, let's just try to, work these leads ourselves and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then I just started jumping on the phones, and probably the first or the second lead I called, I closed the deal. I got it under contract.
And we were like, what?
They're like, let's just put Sam on the freaking phone.
And the
Well, that's
funny
exactly
thing,
what happened.
the funny thing was that the leads that, so there was this dude, he calls us and he's like, these leads suck. I can't close anything.
Yeah, the robots.
This is absolutely insane. I'm not getting the right data and this and that. And I'm like, cool. So what do you want to do? He's like, I want a full refund. You guys can have all my leads. I don't care anymore. I'm like, cool. Here's your money back. We don't want anything to do with you either. That's totally fine. We take the leads that he has and just,
we just started dialing them.
We start dialing the same leads that we put in his system. And we're like, let's see what he was complaining about.
And like
the first lady I call, it was $112 or $120,000 house. It was a house and a mobile home on 2 acres of land. And she
in Jacksonville or
no, this was in Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
It was a probate.
Correct. It was kind of like a probate lead. So her husband was like on the way to die.
Pre-probate.
So basically, I call her, I talk to her. She's like one of the most motivated sellers I could have ever gotten on the phone. And I'm like, so how much are you asking? She's like, well, I was hoping to get 80. And I make her an offer at like 50 grand. And she accepts. And that lead, so we end up renegotiating that lead. And we end up getting it because there was a lot of stuff that came up that she didn't tell us about. But we end up renegotiating that lead down to $25,000.
That's insane.
And we made like 35 grand off of that one transaction. We put it on the market. So I've totally explained everything to her, disclosed everything to her. We made it a novation lead, meaning we have the right to market the property on the MLS. We just contacted a local realtor. He put it up for sale. We basically promised a $5,000 commission to him. After everything was paid, we made over $30,000.
So that's basically what you guys are doing, wholesaling all over the country. Is you're going with the novation route and giving it to an agent for MLS marketing and whatever local.
It depends. So it's still dependent. It's not all novation.
How do you not being from those markets? Like, how do you know where to lock it up at?
Dude, same shit we're doing here, right? Like we're running comps. We're seeing what's available for sale in that market. What's the population?
How are y'all getting access to those MLSs?
We don't, dude. Zillow's a fucking hell of a thing. Yeah. So that's the hard part, right? And that's what changed things for us. So we started doing PPC and Facebook ads.
Yeah, you guys were doing Bateman Collective. Right?
Yeah, Bateman. Great. If you guys don't use them, I would highly suggest because I love them. But just not in Jacksonville because we own the market here in Jacksonville. Dead serious though. But yes, we still use them. Yeah. Okay. They're very good.
They're exclusive, so you guys own the.
We just spend the most amount of money.
We just spend the most amount of money, and our like click-through rate is like they have like almost 1,000 people that they do leads for, and we're like in the top 5% for click-through and conversion rate for them.
Nice.
And I forget how much I was looking at last time, but like 30% of the time that an ad in Jacksonville pops up, it's our ad for them. But they have a really good system. Anyway, we went nationwide, and what we learned was certain markets you can't see what the solds are. So that really made things hard. We thought we had a deal. The house down the street's listed at 200. This one we think we're getting at 60, right? So we like, okay, there's got to be some money in there.
Yeah.
But then you find out that house is way overpriced. You can't tell though, right? So like it was really hard. So we started kind of pinpointing where we could get a better idea. Some of the houses we locked up in populations of 200 people. And then we're like, this isn't, who's going to buy this house? It's 3 hours away from the closest city.
Yeah.
Nobody lives here. This isn't a good deal. So it just started changing, going to more dense cities, different areas. So now we're like basically from here to Texas up to Wisconsin.
Damn.
And just like in specific cities.
Are you using like PropStream or
No.
any other type of like to try to run comps? You're
Dude,
literally just using Zillow.
Zillow sold and Realtor.com, and
Interesting.
it's easy. Here's why it works so much easier, because you just go, hey, hop on Zillow with me right now. Show me a house that sold at that price
Yeah.
in this condition, right? Look at what houses sold in this condition at this price and how much it would take to get your house there. And I got to make money too, right? And they're looking at it.
Yeah.
They have the same access, so it's the same conversation. The only problem is we don't know, is that historic Springfield? Is that the other side of 95? Like where are we exactly? Which is
Everything's
tough.
so like location specific. You
It
can buy
is.
a couple blocks.
It is. So that does make things a little difficult, but like our cancellation rate or our fallout rate is actually very low. What did we say it was the other day? Like 22% or something like that?
20% or less.
Yeah, it's actually pretty low, because we usually do lock it up well. And if we end up finding out that it's in the wrong neighborhood or something's going on, we usually can get the renegotiation to make it work and make it make sense. But I mean, it's a lot of problem solving, and you're nationwide. So it's like,
So the reason
as
we
easy.
went nationwide with PPC is because we didn't want to necessarily go and pull data in those specific cities.
For sure.
So we pulled the data in Jacksonville, and the AI calls the Jacksonville leads. But one of the biggest issues that any sales organization is having is follow-up.
Of course. Yeah.
So we use the same AI to follow up with our leads that are dead.
Right.
So anybody that said, I don't want to sell right now, call me in 3 months, or they're overpriced right now, we have stages that we have built inside of our CRM. We drag that lead into that stage, and the AI will automatically text them, call them, email them, and it'll try to get them back on the line and live transfer it back to the office. So AI is going to call them, hey, there was an inquiry 2 months ago or a month ago, and you were interested in selling your house. Are you still interested, or have you already sold? No, I'm still interested. Great. Let me get you to my manager so we can get you an offer. Live transfer into the office.
A little more than that. It's, would you take a cash offer? Could you tell me the condition of the property? How quickly would you like to move? Would you truly accept a cash offer if the price worked for both parties? And can I transfer you to my manager? And if they say yes to all those things, it comes to one of us too.
What other city other than Jacksonville are you crushing it in right now? That's just,
dude,
some random.
This is the most random to me, but like Alabama, we love Alabama. Like I almost moved to Alabama because of how much fucking business we do over there. The houses are crazy in some of these neighborhoods.
Have you ever been to Alabama?
No, no, I don't even.
And that's what
know the last time
first lead that I
Alabama.
locked up, it was in Alabama.
It was Alabama, yeah.
So that's why we went there. And then we were like, this is a gold mine.
Georgia's pretty decent too. Like Atlanta, obviously it's such a big metro. But it is a little bit harder because people that know the area will pay better. They will pay better than we will, because we're trying to make sure we're not getting screwed, or that we're not going to be in a tough position. But I think what's really helped us is kind of similar to you guys.
Does that affect like your capabilities of, not like, obviously on a conversion rate on cancellation, that's one thing. You guys are obviously trying to lock it up for good prices.
Right.
But what about like a conversion rate of actually getting deals under contract, because you may be coming in lower?
You said 1 out of 5, right?
Yeah, it's about 1 out of 5 we lock up right now.
1 out of 5 inbound?
Yes.
Yeah, 1 out of 5 inbound, yeah.
It's closer to 1 out of 12 for outbound.
Yeah.
So AI is less.
Yeah. But that's
But you
it
pay a
makes
lot
sense.
more for inbound.
And it makes sense though, because these are people who are searching for your service versus
Yeah.
people who you're telling them that you provide this service for them.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it does make sense. But yeah, it's been very interesting to see. When we first started doing PPC, we did PPC in just Jacksonville, and it did not go that well for us. So we spent like almost 30 grand. It didn't go far. But the other side of it, which is what I was saying, is we don't just go in there and do the cash offer. We do cash offer. We essentially explain to them the novation process. Like, look, you can get more money and we'll handle everything on the other side. We'll list it. We'll negotiate with the investors, the buyers on the other side. You don't have to worry about nothing. This is your guaranteed number. They like that. Or we do a lot of sub 2 as well, which has just been a big change for us, the seller finance. So that is something that this year we really have like taken with and ran. And for the deals that don't make sense, that don't have equity, where they can't come to the table,
Yeah.
we're still able to figure out how to put something together for them and how to make some sort of financial gain on our end.
So what
it's
what
been
happened
very
was
interesting.
when I started locking up those deals and we went and started doing PPC, we were like, well, we have two ways we can go about this. We can just continue to do that and not focus on the clients and trying to give this technology to other people, and we can just show people that it's totally possible to get these deals under contract. And that's when we started having ideas of doing trainings for
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the concept of all leads suck is the concept that all leads don't actually suck.
Of course.
You suck
Right.
as a closer.
Right.
So that's why we started doing the trainings.
Yeah.
And then we decided, okay, well, there's two ways we can go about this. We can put more focus into this company and try to, teach people more so, and just continue to develop the technology.
What's your goal at this point? Is it that, or
So that was the initial thought,
Yeah.
and that's what we did initially. And
Yeah.
we said, instead of us hustling these deals, let's just get people in the door as acquisition managers. We'll train them in-house, and then we'll try to focus on just, the lead generation and marketing.
Right.
So we brought in 2 people, and actually we brought in way more than 2.
Yeah.
We just the 2 that actually stuck around and had some kind of potential,
Yeah.
and both of them are gone now.
Right.
So none of them lasted, even though one of the guys that we had working here in office closed close to 800 deals,
Right.
but they were all cash deals,
Yeah.
right? So he used to be like the most top senior acquisition manager at another wholesale company, and we just had super high hopes.
He
We
couldn't wrap his head around novation.
he couldn't wrap his head around novations, and he couldn't wrap his head around sub 2 or seller financing.
Yeah.
And almost every lead that came into the office, it was like just crystal clear to me that, okay, this is clearly innovation. We can't, I mean, you should offer them cash, but they're not going to take that.
Yeah.
And we're just letting this lead go.
Yeah.
Or this is clearly a seller finance deal.
Yeah.
This is what you have to offer. And basically the concept of all leads suck is you have to work every lead as if it's your last, so that you're exhausting all options,
Right.
Yeah.
and not just, you're not a one-trick pony where you just
Right.
Correct.
give them cash and then if it doesn't work, have a good day.
Being a one-trick pony, which is why I did this, and you guys are doing this.
Yeah.
I just think it doesn't work.
It
Right.
doesn't. And I mean, you constantly have to be changing
You
and
constantly,
evolving
of course.
and learning and growing.
So the
and
conclusion that we came to is we can't work on just marketing, we can't work on the AI. We
Yeah.
actually have to leave that side of the business
Yeah.
for a while
Uh-huh.
and just focus on wholesaling and doing everything ourselves.
Yeah.
So right now, the way our company is structured is me and Lewis, we're doing the acquisitions, and then Dom is doing all the dispo.
Yeah.
And we don't want to hire any salespeople.
But
Okay.
Like,
there's a
that's it.
reason for that, right? So like, we're essentially projected to do between $2.5 and $3.5 million in the next 12 months
In spread
You're staying
revenue.
skinny.
in spread revenue, right? That's with 3 of us.
Yeah.
With Dom having 60 employees, they were doing 4 or 5.
4.
They were doing 4 million. So we were like,
Yeah.
wait a second, why have the stress of having to manage 60 people?
Yeah.
And like, did you follow up with that lead? Did you do that? Like, I'll just do it myself. and that'll be the focus. And what it'll be essentially is just showing people relentlessly that like it's possible, you can do it. There, yes, you see a lot of these gurus and shit online, but like you actually can go out there and do it. And yes, they have a ton of money to be able to show you this lavish lifestyle, but like you can do it with nothing. You can do
What
it with
was the
just a little bit.
statistic when we had salespeople in office and then we started doing it?
What the closing?
Yeah.
It was like it was like 7 or 8% that they were.
But what was
closing.
how many deals did we have in the door?
Oh, I mean, you could see a huge difference. I think we did 11 with them in 3 or 4 months, and the guy who left that did 800 transactions in 7 days, he took 5 contracts out of his system in 7 days, and
From the
that was
same system he
the
was
same
working,
system he was working for 3 or 4 months,
meaning
and
the
lots of
same leads that he had.
and
So
there were
at any
people.
given time, he had 100 leads. From the same 100 leads,
Yeah.
the first 7 days, we had 5
Yeah,
contracts.
and they were like the notes were like, guy doesn't want to sell, this is a terrible lead, guy's an asshole, and then like he's locking them up in 1 week, and we're like, okay, well, obviously you were the issue here, not the lead or not the process. So it's been a drastic change since we've kind of done this. Now it requires us to always have to be on, which limits us everywhere else that we're trying to go. But that's why we've tried to do the trainings, just to kind of show people like, look, it's legit, it works, which has been really good because we've partnered with really good people who have joined, and we've helped a lot of people get started, get their first deal. So I think the game plan that we're really trying to work towards is just continue to have that authority in the marketplace as like genuine people who are really doing this, because we were so hurt by finding out about our heroes. You know, what do they say? You never want to meet your hero or whatever. So like we had just found out that we're watching people who have thousands of rentals, who have hundreds of pad splits or Airbnbs, and then you talk to the executives at pad split and they're like, that guy has 1. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? I've seen 100 promos from him. I've seen a ton of paid ads. And then you're like, yeah, he has 1, and he runs with that 1 to the grave, and he makes a ton of money off of it. And you're like, oh, because we already have more than him then. So like, that sucks. So then we started figuring out like most of these people are just bullshitting and just marketing to you and not necessarily like doing the work. So the goal is more.
So we want to be the
trying to sell a
opposite.
course.
We just want to be the operators.
Yeah.
And then just showcase everything that we do so that other people can replicate our business.
Right. And we hope to do deals with them in the meantime. And when we have the ability to be like, dude, you've seen what we've done over the last year, 2, 3, whatever, then we can start focusing on whatever marketing that we want to be able to do with that, and authority that we'll have.
Do you do live seller calls in your office with people that are there?
No, I don't do live seller calls. We do a lot of role play, and I record all the calls in our CRM. So we'll listen to the calls, and we'll go back and we'll train them on, hey, you shouldn't say that, or you should say this. But no, I don't. I think it's interesting though. Maybe it's something that we'll integrate at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it'll.
You can have them. We basically give it out for free. So everybody that joins, you're welcome to bring all your people to the live seller calls.
Yeah. Another thing too we could probably do is like go live, and not, I mean, like on like not maybe not the next one, but we could you know, you can like jump in someone's live,
share
someone's live. You know, you do one, we'll do one.
Yeah.
Right
now we host it in Zoom.
Yeah.
But we were thinking of hosting it.
So you're on social. You do it on Zoom.
Yeah, we do a Zoom call. We bring all the people in.
15, 20 people.
It's about 10, 15 minutes of just discussing a particular topic. So like last time it was like novations versus assignments, and how to identify which deal is going to be a novation, which deal is going to be an assignment. And then for the rest of the call, I'd most of the time either call my leads, or a lot of people now are just bringing their leads and I call their leads for them and close them. And the Zoom before this one, we had a lead that came in from, I don't know if you guys know April Giuliano. Shout out April. So she's basically the sub 2 leader from Pace Morby
for Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville.
Yep. They do a bunch of flips.
She does a lot of flips.
Does wholesaling.
Yep. And so she brought in a lead, that their acquisition manager was working on, and they were working on this lead for 3 months. They brought the lead in. I called the lady, and it was a one call close.
Yeah. It was a 3-hour phone call that he
It
had
was a
with her.
3-hour phone call.
It was wild because of how long it was. But like by the time the lady was like never spoke to her before, by the time he got off the phone, he had a signed contract. And everybody was like, that was wild that you like turned her and you got her to do it. And when he first like called, he's like, hey, how's it going? Such and such. She's like, actually, I have a realtor on the other line. Can you call me back in 15 minutes? She like just got off the phone with somebody else.
Yeah.
So he came in and just was able to lock it up. And we ended up, actually, what's even funnier is he ended up dispoing it later that night himself. But we ended up dispoing it like 2 more times within the next 48 hours through other people. And like we probably should start doing those live as well. But now, like, just seeing the people who are on it, like, hey, can I bring you this lead? Hey, can we call this one? And it's so tricky. I've had good conversations, but I can't get them to the next stage.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how much, like, afterwards he asked, like, what did you guys like from that? What did you learn? And it's just so interesting that they're like, I never thought to say it like this. And I could see the turning point for you where they were, instead of them being against you, they were kind of on your side. So it's really good stuff. You guys definitely should have your people at least join, check it out, look at it, because most of the time we'll lock something up there. But one of the
Do
other,
you guys do any creative deals in the office?
For sure. Yeah.
do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
So what's the current volume that you guys have on a monthly basis? What's the average transaction size? Like how many deals? 10, 20,
Again,
30?
because it's all over the place. You guys are super focused, so it's a little bit easier to trace. Right now, we're gonna close 24 deals this quarter. So 24 deals this quarter. I think 8 of them are Zillow, 6 of them are wholesale, and 10 of them are traditional. And then we had like 2 acquisitions, like for the fund as well.
Yeah.
So you like
It's a lot of
it's a
moving
little
parts.
hodgepodgey, and
Yeah.
it changes from quarter to quarter, and
You
it's
track it by
flexible.
quarter, not by the month?
I track it by quarter. Yeah.
Is it because the deals usually take more than 30 days?
I think that leads take more than 30 days in general.
Right.
I think overall, like let's
cycle's
say
kinda longer.
let's say I pay 10 grand this month, and we get, however many leads off of it. Let's say
Right.
30 to 50 leads, whatever it
It's
is.
90 days for the lead to
It's going to
convert.
be
Yeah.
about 90 days before you
Right.
see
true.
that come through.
That's
I
the
mean,
way.
True.
yeah, I would say you get like probably somewhere in the ballpark of maybe 5% of those leads that are like, okay, yeah, let's do something right now.
Right.
And then you get another 5% of the leads that are like, okay, yeah, we're interested. And then you follow up with them for like a month, and then they do something. And then you have your leads that are like, you got to freaking beat them to death until like 3 months later, they finally do something.
We have a stage in our system. It's called AI 10 Days of Hell.
Yeah.
So if we
So
can't get a hold of you, they will. For sure.
if we can't get a hold of you for like 5 days, and I've been calling you like 3, 4 times a day,
Yeah.
I put them in AI 10 Days of Hell, and then AI calls them twice a day, texts them twice a day, emails them twice a day, and it keeps increasing for 10 days
Nice.
until they pick up. And if they don't pick up, then they automatically go into the dead stage,
Yeah.
which means
They
in
cool
30 days, the AI reactivates
For 10
again,
more days.
and it starts calling them relentlessly again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, one of the things that we don't do though that I've seen you guys doing, which is something we've been talking about doing, is this beers with Bryce.
Brews with Bryce.
Brews with Bryce.
Yeah.
What is like? Explain to us like what is that? What are we doing there?
Yeah.
We haven't made it out to one yet because we're
Shout out Kyle Paskowitz. I literally just copied you.
okay.
He does Breakfast with Kyle.
Okay.
Where he does it. I think he does it once every
Tuesdays. Every
once
other
a
week.
month on Tuesday or something like that. And he does Breakfast with Kyle. Has people come through and ask him questions, pitch deals, things like that. And I was like, well, Breakfast with Kyle, Brews the Bryce.
That's a good idea.
And the goal behind it was to invite anybody and everybody, right? It's
Right.
not because we have so many different like pockets of things that we do. So it's like, hey, if you're interested in wholesaling, come out. If you're interested in buying your first home, come out. If you're interested in getting your license and working with us, come out. If you have no idea what you're even doing and you don't know your head from your ass, but you're interested in real estate, come
on
out.
Yeah.
And it's really just becoming not only a networking event, but a chance for everybody on the team to get together and relax and have some
Yeah.
food and drinks, but also maybe invite out somebody that they're working on a lead and maybe it's on the traditional side and they're trying to get a listing contract, but they're right on that cusp and you want to build a relationship with them. Come out, maybe it'll help you build a better in-person relationship and get that deal. Or maybe somebody at the last one was like, hey, I got this really interesting off-market deal that I'm working on that's commercial that I've already lined everything up, and we were looking for an equity partner on it. Would you guys be interested in funding some money
Wow.
into this and taking like a limited partner position? And we co-GP it. So I think
pretty
that's
sweet.
interesting. I'm
Yeah.
reviewing that deal right
Yeah.
now. So like just whatever may come about from the network, you
Right.
never know what's going to happen and what opportunity presents itself. So
And when
we've
do you
heard
when do you host
I was
the
just gonna
events?
at the end of every quarter. We do it once a quarter at the end of
Mm.
every quarter. So we just did this one. Next one we'll do
You do
probably.
everything by quarters?
Yeah, I'm a quarterly guy.
Okay.
At the end of next quarter, I'll probably do the same one as we did last year. We did like a ugly Christmas sweater competition, and I gave out a prize for it. And,
Nice.
Nice.
it was fun.
What if someone comes out naked?
That counts.
I mean, that's, depending on the person, that could be pretty ugly. So they
Okay.
might win.
So, is it always the same place?
No, we've done a different place every single time that
Really?
we've done it, just because what I've found that is like as you do different locations, different people come.
Right. Yeah,
Like if
they're
you
closer
do,
to that area or whatever. That
like
makes sense.
if we do one, like the one that we did recently was Miller's on Hodges, and we had a bunch of people from
From the
Jack's Beach
beaches.
area come out.
Yeah.
Last one we did before that was in Nocatee. We had more St. John's people coming.
Yeah.
One before that we did was in Amelia Island. We had more like agents
From
and
there.
different people that we're connected with in Amelia Island that
Interesting.
came out. So I kind of changed the locations and farm different people in different areas.
That makes sense. So, do you guys find yourself still going to other like
Networking
RIA
events?
events or networking events?
I haven't personally. I've been super busy.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
Yeah. We haven't
But
gone either. We've been terrible.
I mean, I used to be. I used to have it set up for us where we were a corporate sponsor of Jack's RIA, and we
Yeah.
would go to that. And I just found it was a lot of the same people over and over again. That I was already connected with, already had
Or
in my
working.
network.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of wanted to do my own event, take it to different places, and be connected with new people. As far as going to I always tell, I mean, he tells everybody in the office too, like,
Do
you
you
should still
go
go to Yellowbird.
Do you go to
Yeah,
networking
so-
events?
If I feel like if I feel like it's gonna bring me value, I will. But I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not just drooling over every networking event because I
Yeah.
mean, just like he said, whenever you go to like a handful of them, it's still the same people, and it's like if I have a deal, I know you can sell it for me, or vice versa. But at the end of the day, like it's good to network, with them. But I also, is it a money making activity? I don't know.
Right.
Right.
I don't know.
Will there be a brews with Brylen?
We'll do like little like last year, we'll choose different agents sometimes to headline it. Like we have a guy Ryder, we did it at a golf course because he likes to golf. I did one
Dang, you
I
didn't
did
invite
one.
me to that?
What's up?
You didn't invite me to that?
You got
It was
you
on
got
social media,
Facebook. It's all
dude.
over Facebook.
Everybody's invited.
Shit,
Everybody's
fucking go.
invited.
I did one at Jekyll Brewing. It's
Yeah.
just it's
I'll let like one of the senior guys or somebody in the office take a spotlight for it, like a
Nice.
I've had this
Brylen edition.
I've had this idea for a while. So when I
Oh,
used to
God.
live in LA, my very first meetup or networking event I went to was playing a game called Cash Flow. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever played that game. It's a game that's similar to Monopoly,
Mhm.
that was created by Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay.
And it's basically Monopoly that's a little more advanced.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually know it was going to be a game. Yeah, I just saw cash flow and I was like, I'm going there.
Yeah.
So I went and it was like a full out table game with them dividing you into groups of like 10 people. You sit across the table and then you're just playing basically Monopoly.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the best networking events I've gone to because you're actually collaborating with people and you're
Right.
trying to partner on deals and it's just a game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of get a good feel for like who you'd want to work with,
How
and
you would work with
yeah,
them.
how
Yeah.
you'd kind of fit in with
Right,
each other.
exactly.
Uh,
So it was very fun. I met a lot of people there, and I've never seen anybody do anything like that
That's
in
interesting.
Jacksonville. So
I think something too that's honestly been sort of a success for me is just like trying to talk to strangers, like just going out of your way to talk to somebody randomly. And actually today, it was a funny story. I had a closing today in St. Augustine, and the closing was from my Uber driver who drove me home from Pete's one night when I was at home and drinking.
damn,
So I literally get into the
Wow.
Uber. I had 8 minutes with this guy, and he was just, I had 8 minutes and it was 2 a.m. and he's talking to me about how he wants to buy a house, yada, yada, yada. He can't afford it because he thinks that X, Y, and Z is happening to his credit. And got his phone number the next day, called him Sunday morning and got him with one of my lenders, came up with like a month and like a 60-day plan to get his credit to where it needs to be. And we closed this morning on a house in St. Augustine.
Nice.
wow.
So I
See?
think I also take the organic route
Yeah.
sometimes too.
You got to.
Like I've had a handful of, I mean, it's not like all my closings are organic, but I do get a little peppered in there where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, this guy was from so and so, or this is so and so's friend's mom or
Right.
whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
Yeah, you got to take those opportunities when you get them.
mhm.
So I know you bought a house
Mhm.
within the last 2 years, right?
Yeah, it was
Three?
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Dude, I have all my money in,
Bitcoin?
I have a lot
No,
of
I'm
money. I
kidding.
have a lot of my money in stocks and crypto, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not unfortunately, I
Yeah.
got in, I mean, I got into it probably like right whenever COVID hit.
Are
Yeah.
you worried about the election?
Honestly, like I think if Kamala comes in and she has that unrealized gains tax
That's
bullshit
wild.
come through, that's wild. That
That's
would
wild.
piss me off.
Are you
But
moving out of the country?
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
You're just gonna
I
realize
think
all your
Western
gains?
society, United States in general, is on the downfall no
Yeah.
matter which way it goes.
Yeah,
Kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So
for sure.
you kind of, I think the best thing that we can all do as entrepreneurs is continue to do what we do every day, and that is being nimble and ever changing our money making activities and no matter what happens. You know what I mean? Different elections or Supreme Court rulings or changes in the market are going to always happen, and I
You're gonna
see.
wake up in the same bed the next day.
Yeah.
but I will get one though to answer your question. I'm
Yeah.
actually working on probably one of the biggest deal of my life, and if I can get it to go through, then I'll probably
Well, I got
pull the
a
trigger on a house.
duplex at the beach if it does go through, if you're looking for
Is that
something.
the one on 7th Ave?
No, it's right by it though.
Is it on 7th Ave?
No, it's not. But I know who you're talking about. I know. I know who you're talking about. It's right by there though.
How
I
where is
went
that?
I went by it.
Did he sell it?
No. I think
What's
it's
he
on
doing?
5th.
North?
Yes.
How is it? What side of 3rd Ave?
On the beach side.
Mm.
It's a corner unit.
How much do they want for it?
They want a hefty penny, but it'd be a
But-
good investment. And your
Mhm.
dad's also in real estate, so he could help you with that one. But it'd be
He
a good
wants-
thing
he
for
wants-
you.
No, he wants one over there bad.
Yeah,
He
But
hits
it'd be
me
a
up
good
all the
thing for
time.
you too. So I
We've been
was
looking
just
at
looking.
Jack's Beach multis for
It's
a while.
so tough. I
It's
mean,
so
they're
hard.
just so overpriced.
So
They really are. But if
overpriced.
you're gonna live in it, then it is what it is, and you
It
kind of
is,
just
but we're
accept
still
it.
trying to make the numbers pencil to some degree if we're still
They
gonna buy
don't.
it
They
at all.
will.
They just literally cannot. They don't pencil in. It just doesn't make sense. But they're not making any more beach, so you kind of
Right,
can't do
yeah.
anything about that. You take what you can get. I
I
mean,
even
shit,
think
people are
maybe
knocking those things down.
like Mayport area is like, I mean, like up there near like, north of Atlantic Boulevard, like up in those little pockets, you can still find some like
Yeah.
affordable starter homes.
Yeah,
But as far as like the multifamily goes, no, I agree. It's like it's just too much to chew sometimes. But like the
Yeah, that's why I
locations,
moved to the burbs, dude. We lived at the beach and
you're in
got
St.
twice.
John's, I thought.
Yeah, we're in the burbs.
Yeah, you're
Nice.
in like what, like a little
Yeah.
DR Horton community,
No, we're in a Dreamfinders.
Dreamfinder. That's
Yeah,
right.
Beacon Lake. But
Oh yeah, Beacon Lake.
yeah,
That was the
that's-
first neighborhood I ever sold a property in. Was
Yeah.
Beacon Lake.
yeah. There you go.
I made like $1,200.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I mean those. I think that's something you got to do. Either that or get an investment property. You got to get you something. You got to get you something.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, what are we gonna plug? Go ahead, just talk. Fuck. Oh, okay.
So how can people find you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our website, our Facebook page, our Instagram.
What are they?
Yeah.
All of them. Anabasis Realty on Instagram, Anabasis Realty on Facebook, Anabasis Realty on Google.
Brylen Ericksen is my IG.
Yeah,
Facebook.
Bryce Ocepek, and Brylen Ericksen on Instagram.
And where do you live and what's your social security number?
But yeah, definitely if you're interested in anything that we talked about with our business model, don't hesitate to reach out to either of us on any of the facets that we talked about. And if you guys want to get involved with AI Speakly,
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you need
thank
help selling a deal, send it to
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out. It's great to have you. Very interesting podcast. I think the first off-market deal I did was with the three of us here, and being able to do real estate with you at another venture.
Was that the
That
sixth
was the
unit?
sixth unit.
The sixth
Yeah.
unit?
was
Okay.
the
You didn't do that deal.
I thought that was the first deal we did.
No.
Oh no, that's the other
You
house.
failed that deal.
That was 17th. I did have somebody for that, but it didn't work out. But I thought that was the other. I thought he did the other.
No, the Templex was someone else.
Okay. Well, my bad.
We-
Then I didn't.
Sam and I have done some deals. Sam and I have
Yeah.
done some deals, and I know I'm working on a few guys for that triplex, so I'll keep you posted.
Let's do
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Let's put it together.
I might take it myself. Honestly, I like it. It looks good.
That's yeah.
Didn't we have a 6 unit too?
Yeah, duplex.
We do. We do.
But-
Well, we gotta
All right,
wrap
let's
it
sit
up.
here and talk all day.
We gotta wrap it up.
Later.
See you guys next time.